Scott?
Okay. In board book, I would like to highlight the September financials. First report that you'll see is the monthly financial report for the month of September, highlighting revenue and expenditures broken down by different items. Following that report is the financial statements showing our position for the entire district and then also for our operating funds, revenue and expenditures. Following our financial statements is the revenue expense report. As usual, I recommend that you look through that and see which ones are at budget or over budget, and shoot me questions so I can explain those. Following the revenue and expense is the student activity report. I believe there's only one negative that looks significant, and that is in the bookstore. That actually was the purchase of the gym shirts for the students. In October will be the credit back, so next month when you see that report, it should be back to a positive balance. Also in your board report is the construction documents. I apologize for the 2015 one for being so tiny. I keep trying to make it so that it can fit. There's just no good way to do it. If I split it on two, then you're going from 2 pages and you can't follow it from left to right with everything on it. I am in the process of making a cover page just highlighting each individual project that was there, just summarizing what the overall cost was. Once everything is finalized with all the payments going out and closeout documents, you'll be seeing that in the future here. 2017 construction tracking document is in there also, highlighting our roof project that we had this summer. And then the last thing in my report is the contract tool, and that just basically highlights some of the key contracts that we have out there. The ones highlighted in yellow would be expiring contracts. If you look, it would be EBC. That's our cooperative that we have, just so the board knows. If you were to look at trying to get quotes from anything or move to anything, there's a 90-day notice on that. Everyone that has EBC is very happy with the insurance that they have and the programs that they have, and the co-op keeps our costs down. There is 109 districts now in the co-op.
So the board is, the new board members, to the second year. The district was previously self-insured for medical insurance, and so we shifted medical and dental over to the EBC cooperative, which is, like Scott said, is 109 schools, and so this way it helps keep your premiums down. And that's one of the ways the district's been able to save money and control its health insurance premiums.
What other options are available? I mean, the reason we renew it is to see, should we be looking at something else, and giving us a high rating for what we're doing already is that an indication we're not going to see what else is out there?
Well, the hard part with going out and soliciting is you got to do a census.
Right.
So the census, you have to have everybody that is insured fill out documentation, and then that's sent to be underwritten to see what your rates would come out at. And they won't send it to the underwriter unless you have 100%
How did we do
of
it
the
for EBC? You
applications.
would never get 100%. How did we do it when we switched to EBC? I'm sure you didn't get 100% of people to do it then.
I wasn't here
I
at
know
that
you
time, but
weren't here,
I can research
I'm
it
not-
to see what we've turned
There's a lot
in.
of smarter people
You know.
than me, but you don't ever get 100% of anything when you ask for a survey. So I find it hard to believe we did that the last
Scott,
time.
just look into,
I mean, the reason that we force the administration to do this is so that we don't keep just saying we like who we have, and we're not going to take the time to see what's available out there. Because then we're never seeing that there's something advantageous in the market. Now, based on what we know, it was a very good decision. It was recommended by the administration to go to EBC. But the concept is each time it comes up, we're going to take some time to decide. Again, I don't expect to do a census, you do, but you should at least say there's 7 other people out there. If there's only 103 in this one, there's almost 900 school districts in the state. So that means 800 of them are either self-insured or go to somebody else, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, in my mind, the purpose of this is to take a step back and look and see, here's what we're doing, here's what's available. And if maybe you just look at the rates that you're aware of on the other ones, or say it's gonna take 100 hours to do a survey, to do this one and say, because of
Oh, yeah.
that, we recommend not going forward. But I don't think, as a starting point here, we have a list, we like who we have, let's move on, because that is exactly why, and you weren't here. That's what we were doing all the time, just keeping the people we had. And the board said, we want you to look and see if this is still the best alternative available for us. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
No, and I can solicit different independent brokers, and I got to make sure that the insurance is identical to what's in the collective bargaining, do the census, and see what they come up with.
Let's start by just gathering a pool of other cooperatives and their general rates for a school district our size, so that we can provide the board of, here's 3 or 4 other cooperatives that can handle our school district, and here's a 3-year historical trend or 5-year historical trend. If you start to put the gap together, because I think Mr. Walsh is saying it might not be worth doing the census.
Yes, it may not.
Let's first just find out what the competition is or the other providers and compare some rates and get some general information. We haven't had any issues with EBC, correct?
No.
And the idea of identifying this for the board once each semester so that they're aware of contracts coming due, so they'll know. One, it helps us make sure we do our RFPs and requests for pricing and bids accordingly. But also it gives the board an idea of what contracts will be coming up or coming across their table.
Mm-hmm.
And so with the EBC requiring 90 days notice of, we probably need to start that sooner than later to make sure in the event we do identify some great cooperative that we want to move to, we meet all their timelines.
And I think their annual increases have been pretty,
Very, very reasonable.
since we've been on them, right?
Very
So I'm
reasonable.
nobody's faulting the decisions made who we're using. The purpose of doing this is taking a fresh look on a reoccurring basis to make sure that it's still the best alternative for the district. Does that make sense?
No, absolutely.
And I think there was one call submitted on the contract tool while you have it up, and that was the cell one or call one.
Call one, yeah, that's our landline carrier. This is a tricky one. When you dissect the bill, you get charged for like all these lines. The problem that we have is we don't know if they're dormant lines, if they're live lines. To probably truly get an accurate picture, you would need someone in to assess the actual system to see what is actually live and what's live. Are we utilizing it? Do you need it? Do you not need it? Before you would go out for a request for proposal.
Maybe
So-
they'll come and do it if you tell them, we're thinking of renewing you, but we need to confirm everything we have here.
You're working on that with Mike, though,
With
aren't
Mike,
you?
yes.
Okay.
I mean, we should, that's not a very good explanation. We don't know if we're paying for phone lines we're not using.
Well, you're saying you're looking into that,
We're
correct?
looking into it, but it is hard though, because they can hide it in the bill. And when
Well, that already sounds like a vendor that I don't think is
Well, I
preferable.
understand, but then like I've had some third-party independent people come in and they offer to look at the thing to see, are you getting overcharged for it? Would there be any savings? That may be a possibility to bring someone in first to see what you're actually being charged for.
So you're working on this like you're working on the EBC?
Yes.
All right.
Clearly, we need to do something about our phone lines, because we keep getting emails that our phone lines are down.
Now, that's AT&T,
That's
correct?
AT&T's lines that are down, not call one. So the 4 times that it's been down, it's been 4 independent items.
You mean events?
The other
Events,
concern,
different items that are, like a transistor's gone, a wire was gone, they were all,
The squirrel ate something?
The other concern, though, is that when I come to, like, parent night at the beginning of every year, and now this is my 8th year here, teachers say, email me, don't call us, the phone's around here, you never know what's gonna happen, or I don't get my phone calls, or I can't, so I don't know what that really means, but
Well, the good news
don't
is
call
all
us,
of our
we'll call you
voicemails.
kind of a thing is not a great message for parents to hear.
The good news is all of our voicemails are also automatically transcribed into emails. So that shouldn't be an excuse.
Okay,
So
well,
for the
that's what
last
I'm
couple of
hearing.
years, even when the
So,
phones are down and
okay.
people leave a message, it comes automatically up in
Would-
everybody's
would-
email, so.
Would going to a VoIP solution save us some money? We could
Voice
pool
over
s-
IP?
Yeah, we could pool some numbers. I'm sure we're not using them all at once, and
Yeah,
you
I'm
know,
working
you
with,
shrink your pool of numbers. You don't need 300
one of the thoughts
lines.
was to look and see, could you go with Comcast? Because our internet is much more stable versus the phone line.
That would be voice
So,
over IP.
yeah, would be the VoIP. So the question then, we gotta look at, okay, is it truly stable versus always having it? And can you minimize, the 4 times it went out, I know that's a lot, but like you said, overall, what's the trade-off?
But the
That's
4
the
times, the 4 times it went out is not related to the contract that's up.
No. It's independent of the contract. It's the old AT&T lines.
Well,
Or
can we give them an
AT&T issues.
incentive to like fix it? Instead of-
Every time I call the call one rep and it's escalated as quick as possible, and you keep calling back, and the best we can do is say it's escalated. And
Do we pay AT&T for
No.
service also, or do they pay?
we pay the call one
Okay.
through call one.
On the cell tower revenue, which one is still?
AT&T for the
When-
overpayment?
Yeah, when is that going to be
It
resolved?
is, I want to say, hold on, it's till February 1 of 2019. So not till March 1st of 2019, you'll start seeing.
So you will have, will have some revenue in next year's budget related to that.
Yes,
So when you're budgeting, just back your head.
add those months. in.
So this is a situation where when we did the first long ago construction project, the cells used to be, these used to be on our chimney, and we tore down the chimney or something, and now we've created a tower, and there was a time frame where they had to come and move their
2006 or 8, or we used to have a cell tower or a small cell tower on the old smokestack. When that was taken down, we negotiated, the administration at the time and the board at the time negotiated the cell tower to be moved from the smokestack to off on First Avenue. That's the fenced-in trailer that you see in the large cell tower. I believe it was Sprint that installed their communication equipment, and so that's why their payment was so low for several years, because they paid for the tower to go up, and we were collecting rent from AT&T and Verizon, and there was a period of time for a few years where AT&T was overpaying what their contract rate was. Someone in their office or made a mistake and had us getting a rate that for a different cell tower. And so in order to correct that, we haven't been receiving any revenue from AT&T, but that revenue will start coming in again in 2019. And Scott, I thought you had only a few other questions in your financial.
Yeah, there were a couple questions on the revenue expense. Our tax collection is at 105 for prior year. On a cash basis, we did receive payments in July and August, which hits, as our auditor said, it was accrued back into the audit, but on
Hold
a
on a
cash
second.
basis.
Don't confuse everybody. You do this on a cash basis.
Yes.
So
This
don't
is-
talk about the accrual that isn't in the statement, okay?
I understand, but then the question was, why is it 105% over? So I just want to restate that we're on a cash basis. If it came in after June 30th, it hits as a prior year tax collection.
Right, but we count it as our
And in the
current.
audit, it's accrued into,
Right, but our current revenues count that as revenue. Mary Ann, that's paid.
Hold on a second.
So it's part of
First-
last year's budgeted revenue?
No, it's not.
no.
We get 2 collections a year. On this report you give us all the time, the prior one is the first one, and the current one is the second one.
The current one is the second one, yes. Yes.
And the prior one is the first collection.
Mhm.
So this is what you, revenues that you collected versus what you budgeted for the first collection for the year, right?
Yes.
Okay. So now, that's a little bit different than the way you explained it.
If you looked at last year's
Yeah,
tax collection for current year was roughly, I think, 93% or 94%.
right.
Right.
So then the
So,
stuff that
correct.
came in after June 30th would have made up that. So then this year, it looks like it's over budget.
So I was correct in what I said you collected monies that you had budgeted last year.
Yes.
Right. So, yeah, which leads you to say you had 93% collection rate last year. If you would have moved because of the timing, it came in this year. You're
Yes.
showing it in this year's budget, or comparison to budget,
It's on
which does
hand,
not
it's
have it in there. It had it in last year.
The second collection from last year was 93%, not the overall, right?
No. Our
Which
overall
is-
combined was
Almost 100%.
almost 100,
But the
yes.
second one was lower.
Yes.
Okay, one other question. Why is the current 20% higher than the prior? Isn't the first collection of each year, so that it's going to be 55% of last year's for the next collection, right?
It will be, hold on,
What
it'll
page
be-
are you on, Tim, just so,
No, he's just overall of the
overall?
levy.
We do 55 and 45, did you put that in
Yes.
the budget?
Yes. Current year is always 55, prior year 45. And basically, I basically take what the 55% is, minus it out to get my 45%
Okay,
Right, you
for
explained that.
prior
already.
year.
okay.
And then there was also a question,
Page,
under,
Scott.
Board Book 25, under 10, 12, 54, 10, 50, 122. Basically, that's special education capital outlay. An additional standard had to be purchased for a student. At the beginning of the year, I was only told to budget for one standard, and unfortunately, the IEP team, for a budget sake,
So it's additional
made me-
special education equipment.
Yes, special education equipment. From a budget standpoint, I'm over budget in that line item.
What's a standard, since you used the term to explain?
A device to help a student actually
Stand up.
stand up
Oh, okay.
and support them.
Right.
So the one that actually put it over budget was accounted for. The one from 96 coming over with the student wasn't.
It's
So,
just, it's an additional piece of
Additional-
special education equipment we don't need to
Got it.
identify. Right?
okay.
Thank you.
Okay, there were no further questions.
Thanks, Scott.
Dr. Skinkis,
Go ahead.
on the construction on the roofs, there was a page 48, you gave the summary budget for the roof projects.
Page 48.
Yep.
Okay.
Now, is that up current and we're going to be under budget by that amount, or how much do you anticipate
On the roofs.
on the roofs?
We are not using, when we just talked about that today, we should be at like 55 or 60%, or 60,000
Of the allowance.
of the allowance was not used.
So we're basically going to save how much, or
About $60,000.
60,000? Okay, well, that's good news.
And then the stadium project, because it was carried all the way back to 15. If you guys remember, we had roughly 750,000 in allowance because it was about a $7.5 million project. We'll have about 120 savings there.
It's good.
And that,
Awesome.
Pat, we went through that today, and on that project from 2015, when we had the $750,000 allowance budget, for change orders or unforeseen conditions, and we were saved, I think we have unused about 125 we talked about today.
Mhm.
When you look at that, like 200 and something thousand was underneath of the field. Right, so we spent, just over 6, and 1/3 of that was on the field, the new stone, the new drains, right? We got some of that back.
Some back, 75,000.
Right, but a big chunk of that was for that.
I want to make a positive comment and a suggestion. Just
Okay.
minor. Positive comment, I see that you guys bought these large pads to protect the track. Even more so than last year. I'm glad to see you doing that. And I noticed this is a minor issue. You look at the sidewalk where this turnstile is
Okay.
on Washington.
Okay?
I mean, some of that's in really bad shape. Considering so many people go in there to use that.
We have to do the sidewalk repair program with the
Village of
Village of
Brookfield.
Brookfield, because
Someone-
that's their easement.
If someone can look at that, because I think, I'd hate to have someone trip and fall, and then there's some issue with that. Besides the fact I don't want anyone getting hurt or any kid getting hurt by any means.
All right, anyone else? Comments?
I already brought up this sidewalk bit. You know how I feel about that.
Well, you already brought that up, Wes?
Oh, yeah, I brought up separate with it.
Okay.
On Washington or Hollywood? Yours
Well,
is
Hollywood, same difference. Same, the sidewalk looks the same, just
Yeah.
old and.
Problem is, it's not district, I mean, technically it's village, we don't. So we bought trees for the easements.
Did
but
buy trees.
We did buy trees, so I will talk to the village and see if we can get put on their sidewalk replacement plan, or at least they can come and mark it.
Great.